Let's talk about drugs. I think when we often talk about gangs, hear about gangs, drugs are often closely associated with these groups of people. What solutions do we have for the drug culture that comes along with the gang culture?
Decriminalize drugs.
Why?
Eventually unban them, and I'll tell you why. But let me start from the other end. The war on drugs, the American-generated war on drugs, is a complete failure. It's cost billions of dollars. It's cost thousands of lives in drug wars, and yet the drug use is getting higher and higher. So obviously it's a failure. Obviously that's not the way to do it. And one of the reasons, I think, is that we're focusing on the chemical. This chemical here is very dangerous. So we raid and we get those chemicals, and people who purvey chemicals, we put them in jail. And so it's around this stuff. People, you have kids, adolescents, who will try drugs and get out of it. Probably you and me. I mean, you know, it's what I call adolescent limited behavior. You go in and out, and in fact an adolescent who isn't kicking up rough, there's something wrong with them, you have to. But you also get life course persistent people, kids, and they just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you look at that deepening, it's all of the things I've been talking about. It's the sadness, it's the shame, it's the early damage, it's all of those things. Those are the things that make people embrace drugs, that give them a moment of warmth, a moment of love, a moment of softness, a moment of forgetfulness. And so the addiction is what syndicates will do to ensure customers. But the reason people take drugs has to do with a life that is very difficult in themselves. And if we address that, we're starting to reduce the amount of drugs. And the only way to do it is to take the drug sales away from the syndicates. If we do that, we collapse the gangs who are defending turf with guns to sell drugs. We collapse the syndicates that supply them. We collapse the international criminal syndicates that supply. We collapse the systems in the farming areas that grow these various drugs. The whole thing collapses, and the state needs to manage this. Now, I tell people this, and they go, whoa, that's never going to happen. Well, yes, it has. Portugal decriminalized drugs on the way to unbanning them. And
all drugs.
All drugs. And people don't seem to know that. Everybody predicted gloom and doom in Portugal. The whole EU said you can't do that. You're going to be the drug country of the world. What happened? Drugs just went right down. They're the lowest use in the EU. It's even with decriminalization, not with unbanning.
Do you think it also has to do with taking away the taboo around drugs?
Yeah, the mythology disappears. If you're buying, alcohol does damage, cigarettes do damage. We've got to manage these things because too much of anything is bad for anybody. But in Portugal, if you caught, because they're not legal, but they are decriminalized, if you're caught with drugs, you have to go and have a discussion with somebody who's specialized in saying, what are your problems? Why are you taking these things? What happened in your life that makes you want to do this? And that process, they put money away. The police do what they should do, which is not chase drug dealers. They do other things. They actually handle proper crime. And the kids are not considered aliens. They're considered people with a problem, and we're going to deal with that problem. So, Portugal is, and Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, they're all going the same route for the same reasons that the war on drugs hasn't worked. So, and we have a huge drug problem here. Yeah. Huge. And the drug trade in South Africa is estimated at 24 billion a year, rand. Wow. We have to take the drugs out of the hand of the syndicates. And the only way to do it is to decriminalize them.
Well, Don, some really insightful solutions in the book. It definitely is a great read for anyone wanting to understand gang culture in South Africa. What is your take-home message? What do you hope everyone who picks this book up takes away from it?
Gangs are not evil. They're kids with problems. And if we want to build programs, to help these kids, apart from all the things that I've been talking about, the kids are building gangs around what they appear to need. Gangs are a ritual. They're a rite of passage. They're a process. If we're going to build programs, we need to build those programs around what makes gangs attractive. Part of what I do in an organization called USICO is do exactly that. The same fear, the same scariness, the same support, but the end result is pro-social, it's not antisocial. So a lot of my research was with traditional societies and the transition of adolescence in traditional societies. We need to learn from those societies. Kids do need a rite of passage into adulthood. If they don't get it, they will invent it and we'll call it gangs. But if we want to put programs together, we should help by creating those transitions in the way and learn from traditional societies that do that very effectively. And, you know, kids can't initiate themselves. They need adults. They need a more developed mind of their mind to help them through that time. And that's what we need to build. We need to build a caring society around people who are distressed by the society in which we have created for them.